Hi, this is May here for real this time. I just wanted to kind of relax and tell you some stories. Usually I talk about hi, HFED, and Gorg Night, and hello. I don't know how to say that. Okay. Welcome. So usually I have a daily financial freedom checklist. Hi, Devisio. And I talk about how to become financially free. Hi, Real Jacob Polly. And tonight I just wanted to tell some stories that are more interesting, I think. And they're real stories, so let me know what you think. And if you have some stories, go ahead and share, if you can, in a chat. Anyway, so I have a friend. He used to be really wealthy. I think he said his biggest month he made oh my gosh, 60,000 or more than that. I forgot. He had a huge month, and this is US dollars, right? I think more than $80,000 in that one month. Anyway, he in general every month he had a big cash flow. And when I met him, he wasn't doing so well. So I asked him, I said, where did all your money go? Because for a while, he's an older guy, he's in his, I'd say 50s, almost retirement age looking, Hi, D-Man 24601, how you doing? By the way, anytime you're listening, feel free, if you tap this your phone screen, it gives me hearts, and those are always nice to have. So tap your screen and give me some hearts. And so anyway, he's this older guy that I knew. He was actually in my internet business. He joined because he wanted to make money online. And I was like, where did all your money go, dude? You had so much money. He had a house on a hill in Hawaii. He had fancy cars, BMWs, and I was really curious because I've heard stories of people who had a lot of money and then they lost it all, right? So I asked, I was like, so what happened? What did you do with all your money, right? And he said that he would go to the car dealer, and the car dealer would have a new BMW. And so he would buy the BMW, and then the next year, the car dealer would call him and be like, hey, you have to see this new model. So he would go in, and every year, without fail, he would just upgrade his car. So what does that mean? It means that he just kept spending more and more money on a new car every year. And if you know anything about buying a new car, it's the most expensive thing to do, right? Because as soon as you buy a new car, it goes down in value a lot, right? So it's a very bad investment unless you know what you're doing. And he just kept buying new BMWs every year. And that was just one example he gave me, right? He ended up quitting his corporate job and started his own business where he had kiosks and he was selling phones and lost so much money. He was spending more money renting the kiosk than making from the phone sales. So he basically put himself in the ground with his business, and he just couldn't afford to pay anyone, and he had to close everything down. And that was the time when I met him, was right before he closed everything down. He joined the internet business and he was starting fresh. And he liked the idea of not having to pay for so much rent and everything because internet is so much cheaper, right? And I was just fascinated because here was this guy who had done so well. And they ended up selling his house, right? They sold their house. They live in a nice condo. So, I mean, they're not poor or anything. However, he used to be very, very wealthy and then kind of went down the drain. Here's another story. Recently, I've been listening to Tracy Walker. She's from Chicago. She's in our business, and she used to be, she got an MBA. She was actually a really good student, honor student, did really well, went to college fast, then got an MBA, and, she got out. She couldn't get a job she liked, right? So she ended up working in this job she hated. She finally got laid off, so happy, started doing real estate investing. She made a ton of money doing real estate investing. That was before the market busted, right? So she was doing really well with that. She had a Hummer. She had a Lexus. She had a nice house. She was living it up, really well. And then for her, she didn't invest anything, right? All she did was spend the money. She made all this money, and she was pretty young at the time. She was in her 30s, 20s, 30s, and she was making so much money, right? In every deal she made, I think she said she made 30 grand every transaction. They would do 3 a month, so she's making a lot of money. Spent it all, okay? The market didn't spend it all because Some of it was in the houses. However, when the market crashed, the house values just bombed, right? And then she couldn't pay for the rents on the houses she owned. She had to let them go. So they got foreclosed. Her car got repossessed, right? She didn't have a car anymore. She had to go on food stamps. That's how bad it was. So that was a case of another person who made tons of money. Her situation was different. Like the first guy, he wanted to go off on his own. So he quit his corporate job and he just took all his money and invested in this business, and then the business bombed. For her, she built herself up through real estate, and then the real estate market crashed, and then she lost everything because she didn't invest in anything else, only real estate, and so it was all gone. So it was just interesting to hear it. And then there was, let me see if I can think of another person that's a little different. I know a lot of real estate people because a lot of people my age were in the market and then it crashed, and so I meet a lot of them, so I know a lot of them. However, I'll give you one more story. This is an interesting one. This one has a happy ending, okay? I have a friend. I met him on eHarmony, okay? That was back when I was dating in 2011, I think. Before I met my husband, I was meeting people on eHarmony. I met my husband on eHarmony. If you guys know my husband, Jamal, I love him so much. I met him on eHarmony, okay? So anyway, I met this guy on eHarmony, different guy, not my husband. And he was financially free. He was only 1 year older than me, okay? And he used to be a real estate investor. And I was really interested because my goal at the time was I want to get financially free. I am in so much debt, I'm not doing well with my finances. What do I do? And so he said he would help me. In exchange, he wanted to do an Ironman. See, the thing about him was he was really overweight. His health was not so good. Very, very overweight. So we ended up trading advice, right? And I'll just tell you his story. So he was heavy in the real estate business, heavy. And he had all these properties, and he was doing really well, just like all these other people who were doing real estate at that time. They were making lots of money, doing really well. And then it crashed, right? And then he had all these houses, he had to foreclose too, he had to let some go, all these things going on. The bank wanted all his money. It was just terrible. He said he had a couple of years of extreme stress, having to figure out what to do, how to handle everything, the collectors calling, all kinds of stuff. It was crazy, right? And he ended up getting divorced after it was all over. So that wasn't a happy story there. And then anyway, how did he fix it? It's interesting enough. He managed to salvage, I think, 2 or 3 properties. And he was in the state of Washington, and he decided to go into harvesting medical marijuana. Okay, medical marijuana. So he harvests medical marijuana, and he pays, so there's a business in there for medical marijuana, which makes money because he grows it in those houses, okay? And then they pay him the rent. The business pays the rent for the houses, so he can still hold on to these 3 houses that house the medical marijuana business. And then with that money, he was able to retire. So he was able to become financially free. That business paid for his lifestyle, and he didn't have to stay there. And I met him in Hawaii when all he was doing was training for an Ironman. All he did every day was wake up, run, swim, bike. So that was a happy story in a sense that he did become financially free. He figured out a way. Very creative, these people. Anyway, I just wanted to share you some stories, real life stories of people who all had a ton of money and what happened to them. The people who thought of ways to invest it, move it around, be more creative, like my one friend, he found a way to make it through. And I know a lot more stories where people were doing really with real estate. They didn't save anything when it crashed. They just went broke, because they had no savings. They had no investments. So I'm sharing these stories because, one, I think they're interesting. And the other reason I'm sharing them is because I think they're helpful. For me, it was helpful to hear all these stories because it reminds me how important it is to save. It's nice to have money and spend it. However, are you spending it all without thinking about the future, right? Because if you're putting all your eggs in one basket and betting that run will go on forever, you're probably going to be disappointed because most runs don't. I'm sure the same thing happened when the tech bubble happened, when Silicon Valley had that tech bubble. I was too young back then to be impacted as much. However, I'm sure a lot of, actually some of my friends, we were all kind of entry level at that point when it happened. So that must have been a big one for some people too. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the stories. If you did, take some time, tap your screen, give me some hearts. And I hope you're having a wonderful, what day is it today? Tuesday. I've been playing with Tuesday. You can check out more stories about finances, about how to become financially free and money at my blog, yesfinanciallyfree.com. Feel free to check it out. I blog every day. I'm going to just go on it and blog right now, actually. And if you go there, you can also join my email list. And I send updates about financial freedom tips, investing tips, stories, and other things to help you become financially free. Because I believe everyone has the ability to become financially free, and everyone has the ability to become financially free, and you just have to decide to learn more about it and get educated. So have a wonderful night. Aloha, everyone. And thank you, Jamel, for jumping on. I love you.